Now this section here is most certainly a bit of me. Some beautiful classic British sports cars. Oh, hello. Oh, now what does my little eye spy over here? This seems to be a little Ashley. Today on Car Traction, you join me at the Old Prigger Cafe for Cars and Caffeine at Combermere meet. That sees plenty of classic cars, but also a few modern sports cars, such as this Lotus Exige S, the V6 rumbling away there. Nice to see a few Lotuses. There's always plenty of those here, plenty of TVRs, loads of classic sports cars like that Triumph Spitfire with the Ashley GT hardtop. So let's see what will turn up today. And today, to make this video a little bit different, we are going to be asking the question, can you daily drive a classic car? So once a few more things are turned up here at this breakfast classic car meet, we'll be looking at a few of the older cars like the V8 Pilot. Could you daily drive a V8 Pilot? We will have to wait and see. But yeah, today we'll be asking the question, and we'll be having a little look around. Which cars would I daily drive? Such as the Honda S2000 and a very nice looking Porsche 911 over there. That one snuck past me. A very cool modified Audi. This car has a beautiful 5-cylinder engine making a very distinctive noise. Very, very cool. Followed up by a Porsche 944. So I think now that there's a bit of a pause in arrivals, let's have a little look at what's here so far, focusing on a few of the older cars and discussing whether it could be daily driven. Now first up, we have this bay window VW Camp, and I've got to say this is a big yes from me. Obviously plenty of Beetle DNA, loads and loads of parts around. These are very, very popular, so you'll get many hopefully pleasant looks on the road as you drive past through town. I love seeing things like that out on the road. It's very, very immaculate, this particular car. And of course we've got the V8 Pilot now. Does this get a tick on the daily drive list? To be honest, I'd say if I could, I would. If I could afford to run a vintage 3.6 litre flathead V8 every day going to work, then I really, really would. This car's in very usable condition, if I do say so myself. But to be honest, realistically, this one is not going to be a daily driver. So this is a no on this, unfortunately, for our 1950 Ford V8 Pilot. Moving on, we have got Grandad in his MGB GT. And this has got to be a big tick for the daily drive classic car test we're doing here today on Car Traction. Merch available. B-Series BMC engine, so loads and loads of parts around. MGBs are absolutely everywhere on the classic car scene. And yeah, plenty of people do already daily drive an MGB. Grandad gets a lot of mileage done in this particular car. And yeah, this is a great example of a perfectly usable classic car here on this chilly morning at this breakfast car meet. So big tick for the daily drive test for the MGB GT. Oh, hello. A Jensen Interceptor, haven't seen that one before. That is so cool, absolutely love the look of that. And an MGB GT as well. Two very, very lovely GTs in white there. And a Triumph TR4. Bit of a road rally spec there. Over here is a wonderful TVR Griffith 500, referring to its huge capacity of V8 engine. Here's the Mini with a VTEC swapped engine, overshooting the exit a little bit. That's quite an impressive car. I'd like to get that one leaving. We'll be having a look at a few cars leaving this car meet later on. Bit of reversing, yeah, this one's got a VTEC Honda engine up front.
Nearly missed it.
Which is quite a spectacular thing. Hopefully I'll put the bonnet up, because that has got a crazy swap in there. So here's the TVR Griffith. I've got to say this one's probably a no on the daily drive list. It's just a 2-seater, and I mean, if I could afford to run a 5-litre V8 every day, I would, believe me, but it's just not practical at the end of the day. These sort of cars are probably just going to be sort of constricted to a weekend Sunday blast like it is today, but I do really love this TVR Griffith. There is an incredible car. Actually, this one seems to have 23,000 miles from new, which is very interesting to see. It's a great shape of car. Lovely twin exhaust at the back of this one as well. Here we've got a bit of a Lotus car. This is a Lotus Esprit Turbo SE. Beautiful, beautiful car. So clean, this car. It gets regularly serviced. I'm pretty sure the owner's got a sort of setup with proper Lotus professional service with this one, and you can tell because this car is in absolutely immaculate condition, verging on concours in my opinion. And because of that, I'm afraid it's going to be no on the daily drive test again. Love the pop-up headlights, but yeah, it's got to be a no for me on the daily drive list. You could do, but would you really? In such an immaculate car like this Lotus Esprit, I would certainly not. So this one is also probably going to be constricted to a bit of a Sunday blast, like it is at this breakfast car meet here on Sunday morning. But lovely, lovely cars nonetheless. Bit more manoeuvring going on. Next up we have this Lotus Europa S. Now this is an incredibly rare little car. Usually people would probably mistake this for likes of an earlier lease or something, but no, this is a Europa S, which is actually a lot rarer than you think. I don't know the full story about this car, unfortunately. You can see the little Lotus Performance 4-cylinder engine just in the middle of the car there. I'm not sure what it's quite like to work on, but it does make the weight distribution very, very good for driving, which is what Lotus is all about, of course. Manual gearbox. Production late 2006, early 2010, 456 built. Only 100 or so now in the UK. Ooh, very nice sound from that Porsche 911. It's a 2-litre turbocharged engine, 197 brake horsepower, matched up to a 6-speed gearbox, maximum speed 143 miles per hour, 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. So quite a serious car there. And if it was an Elise or something, I'd say a tick for the daily driver, but actually personally, just because this is such a rare car, I would say no. Of course, this is just my opinion. I'd love to hear what you think on the opinion of sort of daily driving classic cars like the MGB or slightly older cars like this. But personally, for the Lotus Europa, I'm going to have to say no, just because it's such a rare and significant car. Quite a few more sports cars and supercars rolling in now. Next up is the MGTF, and I've got to say this is a relatively big tick on the daily driving list for me. It's a 2010 car, so it's going to be fairly reliable. It's going to drive like a modern car, and basically it's just going to be like driving any other car really. So in that aspect, I would say it is a big tick on the daily drive list. As a Morgan rolls in, Dad is also hard at work filming, but I would say make sure you get a good one, because I know that the engine is just in there on these MGTFs, which means that I don't know what access is like. I'm sure there's plenty of parts. There's a well-supported club for these MGFs and MGTFs. I believe the TFs had the better suspension setup than the Fs, but I'd just say the access may not be great if you're planning on sort of tinkering on a car like this on your own. So that's the only thing I would sort of keep in mind if you're considering daily driving an MGTF. But to be honest, overall I would recommend it. It's basically a modern car really, and I'm sure it's a fairly pleasant and easy, old-ish, interesting car to drive every day. Just don't go too fast round roundabouts or lift off when going round roundabouts, because you may end up facing the wrong way. A couple of more modern Porsches here. These would be fairly easy to daily drive, I reckon, so we won't spend too long on those as they aren't that old. Now, let's have a little look at this. Now, this is a 50th anniversary car of the Ford Thunderbird, it seems to be. It's an American car, so it's been imported to this country. This is a bit of an interesting one. So it's a 50th anniversary, 1955 to 2005, commemorating the Ford Thunderbird. So this is effectively like a more modern version of the Ford Thunderbird. I want to say, I'm sure it's a V8. It's got a automatic box in it. Oh, I won't step in all that. Yeah, that's quite a spectacular looking car, that actually. As it's probably got a fairly big engine, it might be a little bit thirsty when it comes to the old daily driving, but it's an auto gearbox, so I'm sure it would cruise along fairly well on a motorway. A couple of supercars rolling in, making some loud noises over there. This is certainly an interesting one, an extremely rare car. Yeah, fascinating car this. I've never seen one of these before. I guess they probably wouldn't have been made over here. It's probably one of the like 2 in the country or something, but I'm sure you could get away with daily driving that. So that's a tick on my personal daily driving list. And this, well, this is a spectacular car. This is a Sunbeam Tiger. These are is it the Chevy, or is it a Ford engine? I believe it's a Ford V8 engine, like a 302 cubic inch or something. Basically, a massive V8 in a dainty little British sports car. It's a 4-speed manual. So, yeah, quite a raw driving experience with this. It's got huge mini lights. It's also got a roll cage, so maybe a bit of a competition car, this one. Whoa, the tachometer goes up to 10. I'm sure this V8, the big lumpy old V8, doesn't rev quite that high, but yeah, it's a fantastic sounding car. I'd love to get this one leaving later. It's really, really rapid car, these. Gotta love the black hardtop as well. Also, I like this streamlined fuel filler cap. That's also a plus for me. It's got the quick release bonnet hinges on this one as well, but to be honest, let's be realistic. Can you really daily drive a car like this? No, I don't think you could. This is another car for weekend jollies or going out early in the morning for a bit of a blast. But no, you're not going to be turning up to work every day in a car that is this spectacular and nice. I think you'd wake up the whole neighbourhood, wouldn't you? Old bit of timing going there as well, actually. That's actually quite old, that. So unfortunately, I've got to say this is a no on the driving list, but it's probably my favourite car here so far. It's a spectacular, spectacular car, this one. We've got a great little section of Fiat 124 Spiders here. These are very, very cool little cars. These are based on Mazda MX-5s in Japan. They're built in Japan, but then I believe they are moved over to like Turin in Italy and doing a bit of external tuning. Their top speed is 144 miles per hour, which is quite impressive, to be honest. It's got a manual gearbox, which is nice to see. Although actually, this car here seems to have some paddle shift gearbox. Bit of a paddle shift gearbox setup, which is strange because I can't see that on any of the other Fiat 124 Spiders. These just seem to have a manual gearbox. As this one, oh okay, this one has an auto gearbox actually. That's interesting to see. So you can have like a sequential auto gearbox in the Fiat 124 Spider Abarth, which I didn't know about. So you learn something every day. So it's either a manual or an auto gearbox you can get in these. But to be honest, these would be an easy car to run every day, I'm sure. To be honest, some of these cars that we see gleaming here at this breakfast car meet are driven daily. Yeah, only just the 2 pedals down the bottom in this one. I'd prefer to have a manual one, to be honest. I think a sports car needs to be manual, but each to their own, you know. So all 4 of these Fiat 124s, especially the one with the hardtop, I like that one, are a big tick on the daily driver list. Now this here is a bit of a unicorn classic. This is a Toyota Supra Mark III. Yeah, most people know the Toyota Supra as the Mark IV, the one with the 2JZ 6-cylinder engine. I believe this one does have, is it a V6 or an inline 6? I'm not exactly sure. It's a bit sort of later than my usual sort of pool of classic cars I know loads about. It's an automatic gearbox in this one, matched up to a 6-cylinder engine of some description. Good looking car though, I think that, yeah. I'm sure if you could afford to maintain and buy the fuel to run something like this, that'll make a good daily driver. And here's an interesting one. This is a car I have not seen before. This is a Toyota Celica, but it looks to be in extremely original condition. A lot of these seem to get modified. The other likes of Carlos Sainz driving these, Carlos Sainz Senior driving these in the WRC Championship. 2.2 litre GTI, probably a 16 valve, does that refer to, in this little 4-cylinder engine. But yeah, this car looks super original. Doesn't look like it's had any paintwork done to it. I like the shape of the rear window actually. It's a really cool little car, this, and I'm sure you could daily drive it. Now interestingly, it's even rarer, as that is a big automatic gearbox lever, so an automatic Toyota Celica. I'm sure this is a super easy car to drive, to be honest, and definitely a contender for the daily driver list. Just beyond that, there's this absolutely fantastic Triumph TR4 here. A bit of a road rally treatment here. We've got some huge mini-light wheels. Those are far bigger in diameter than the originals, I am sure. Great looking rear mounted spotlight as well. This car's been debumpered. It does get used in a bit of competition stuff, this car, which explains the roll cage, the timing gear inside. It's all very stripped out and cool in this one, bit of weight saving going on inside. Yeah, I love the look of this. Gotta love the hump in the bonnet as well with the Triumph TR4s. Nice shell spot lamps on the front. Yeah, it's a beautiful classic British sports car, this one. Nice hardtop as well. Is it the Surrey top with the old Triumph TRs? I think it is, I want to say. But I've got to say, because of all these modifications, perhaps stiffened suspension, it's not a daily driver realistically. It's such a beautiful car. I wouldn't want to be taking this out in the salt and all the unknown sins of the road, especially in winter, so it's a no on the daily driver list, but it is a fantastic car for bringing into car meets like this one at Combermere. Got a lovely looking Porsche here, and continuing with the daily driver debate we're having with old cars here on Car Traction. Please let me know what you think on the topic in the comments. We've got a beautiful Triumph Stag in yellow. I haven't seen this car before. I've got to say, actually, it looks fresh from restoration. Everything on it looks absolutely mint. It's incredible. Just look at like the wheels, for example, the arches, everything is so clean, and surely if that was an original car it would not be in that incredible condition. Yeah, this is a really nice Triumph Stag actually. It's probably the best colour. I would have one in the yellow with the black stripe. Yeah, that is a lovely looking car actually. I really like that. Please tell me it's a manual. Yes, it is. 4-speed manual overdrive. Yeah, that's a super car. Love that. About a 3 litre or so V8 up front in these. Great sounding engine. And there's a great club associated with Triumphs and Triumph Stags. There's loads of them around, so there's a good parts supply with Triumph Stags. So you can certainly get around in them and fix them and repair them in your own single or double garage. This is a tricky one now. To be honest, I would say I could daily drive this in summer, but I wouldn't daily drive this in winter, anything like snow or something. So not a hardcore daily drive, but I'm sure you could get a fair bit of use out of this beautiful Triumph Stag. It's in absolutely incredible condition. Yeah, that is one of the best looking cars I've seen here today so far. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Moving a bit further down the huge car park at this classic car meet, we've got this wonderful MGB GT here on a K plate. What's that, like 70, 71, somewhere around that? And I did actually say on the way in that these two cars, while they are very different, they're probably from a pretty similar period. And actually, this Jensen Interceptor is also on a K plate, so these are both from the same year, both of these cars. They're very different, but they certainly do look very good. We've got the sort of smaller GT, 4-cylinder 1.8 engine, and then we've got the huge V8 up front in this Jensen Interceptor. To continue the daily driving theme, yes, you could daily drive that. But to be honest, to the Jensen Interceptor I'm going to have to say no, because this is just a wonderful car. And can you imagine, what is it, like a 6-litre engine up front or something? Can you imagine paying for fuel for that every day of the year? I'm sorry, but it's just a no for the Jensen Interceptor. But as a bit of a weekend car, as an enthusiast car, it is a fantastic choice. These are such stunning cars, such a sort of spaceship design especially. You've got to love this rear window, absolutely beautiful design. And of course that rumbling V8 up front. I like the louvers in the bonnet on this one. Yeah, that is a wonderful looking car. Great looking little Mini over here, and I've got to say this one is a big tick on the daily driving list. It's got 4 seats, it's got probably a little decent sized boot, but does anyone seem to remember how you can just put your shopping in the rear seat when there's no one sitting there? Everyone seems to forget that nowadays. So this is actually a more modern car than you think. This is on an H plate, but the H is in front of all the other numbers instead of after. So this is an 80s era Mini, roughly, or so maybe 90s, it's somewhere around that. And yeah, this is going to be a perfectly easy car to daily drive and a fun car to daily drive, because these do, being such a short little car, they do drive very nicely. Incredible looking gullwing-ish, could you call it? Mercedes SLS, I believe this is SLS AMG, evocative of like the 300SL gullwing. Saw one of those here once a while ago. You can get a great look at the interior. This one had a savage sounding V8, so I'd probably say you could daily drive this, to be honest, as long as you maintain it. I'm not exactly sure what it'd be like for parts or reliability of the engine, and it's going to be a thirsty car, but I'm sure you could get away with it. Now this is an interesting one. This is a Porsche 911T, so 2.4 flat 6 in this one. and it's left-hand drive, which could put some people off driving this car around all year round. It's a 5-speed manual gearbox, that's simple enough. It's a really, really beautiful car, that. Really, really love that. And just because of that, I've got to say it's probably no to the daily driving list. I don't know what these Porsches are like for reliability. I'd say parts are probably going to be around, but the 2.4 I want to say is perhaps one of the more obscure engine sizes, and I'm not exactly sure how much the parts would cost. So I'd say this one is probably going to be a no on the daily driver list. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below. But yeah, great car for bringing to car meets like this. I think I'd just protect it a little bit more, keep it out of the salt and stuff. You can clean all the arches, but there's only so far you can go, really. If you spend years daily driving a car like this, it will start to deteriorate, and of course we wouldn't want that to happen to this beautiful 911T, so it's going to be a no on the list today, unfortunately. But thankfully, I believe this Honda S2000, as long as you could keep cleaning out the arches and stuff like that, it should be a good daily driver. Now this is going to be a bit of an interesting one. This is a Saab 96 V4. Super cool old Swedish car, great shape. Now this is a bit of a competition car, maybe do a bit of sort of auto testing, stuff like that. It's got a bit of timing gear inside. It's right-hand drive. It is a column shift gearbox though, like our Ford V8 Pilot, so that is something for any future owner to learn how to drive with. I don't know what the V4's like. Is it a Ford V4? Something. I know Ford did have V4s, but I don't know. Is there any connection between the Ford V4s and the Saab V4s? I'm sure some of you guys with your incredible car knowledge will know in the comments as the TVR rolls past, making a lovely sound. And to be honest, I've got to say the Saab is probably a no for daily driving, just because of a few of the mods. We've got sort of like racing harnesses in there. Those are going to be a bit annoying. I feel like if have to get out of the car sort of relatively quickly, and it's just going to be annoying, isn't it, having straps like that. Also, they mount to the back as well, which means you can't get in the back. So yeah, to be honest, just because of these sort of straps and stuff, I'd say no to the daily driving of this Saab. But it's a super cool car to do a bit of car shows and stuff, and a bit of competition driving as well, as it seems to be a bit sportied up, this old Saab. I like the little spoiler at the back as well. But yeah, just because of a few of the mods, I've got to say no to the daily drive, and I'm sure the owner doesn't daily drive this one. Toyota MR2, this is a big yes on the daily driving thing, apart from, like I said with the MG-TF, the engine is in there, which means access might be a bit awkward if you want to do a bit of tinkering at home. But to be honest, it's a new car, it's 04, I mean, to be fair, it's 20 years old now, but to me, this is a relatively modern car, to be honest. And I'd say, yeah, you could daily drive this, couldn't you? Just don't go, like in the MG, don't go too fast round roundabouts with the engine in the back, because these are prone to a bit of lift-off oversteer. But overall, yes, you could daily drive that. I know loads and loads of these around. Any mark of MR2, this is like a Mark 2 or 3 or something. But yeah, these are super easy and interesting little cars to daily drive. In this corner lies a beautiful little Morris Cooper S. Now this is a Mark 1 car, very desirable prospect. So you have the Austin and the Morrises. I can hear a drone flying up there. Someone's stealing our content. Make sure to keep watching Car Traction. I've made past videos on this event, but today of course we're discussing, can you daily drive old cars like this? And to be honest, this one I would say no to, probably, just because it's one of the earliest minis out there, being a Mark 1, and it's such a desirable little car. These cars are going for crazy money now. That looks a little bit lower than standard, doesn't it? A rare Rover as well. I think that's had some funny suspension. Sounds like a diesel swap to me in that one. But anyway, back to the Mini. I'm going to say no to daily driving for this one, to be honest. I'm sure you could, but I'm just saying, for preserving a piece of automotive history, such an iconic design, the little Mini, I'd probably say no, to be honest. You could daily drive in like the summer or something, but when it starts getting to winter, it's cold, yeah, sort of salt on the roads, I'd say probably no to daily driving this. Looks like the owner of this car does maintain it pretty well. The arches are looking very clean, which is great to see. It's always worth cleaning out arches, so maybe this car does get a fair bit of use. I would do that anyway, to be honest. I'm sure we'll be washing the Pilot of any salt or muck that's on the roads at the moment. But while I'm sure you could, to to sort of make sure you do preserve a beautiful old car like this, I would say no to daily driving this Morris Cooper S, especially in winter. Gorgeous old Jaguar XK150 rolling in now. That's a beautiful car, absolutely love that. Next one to face the test for the daily driver is this TVR Tuscan. Now this is an interesting one. It's a two-seater obviously, so not that practical. I wonder how you open the doors on these TVRs. Can't see any visible door handles. Yeah, if anyone knows how you open a door on a TVR Tuscan, let me know in the comments. But I'm conflicted with this one. You could daily drive it. I mean, you could daily drive any of these cars realistically, but would you? That's what we're asking today. Would you actually do it? I think for this TVR Tuscan, I'm going to sit on the fence, to be honest. I think it'd be cool to wake up your whole neighbourhood when you fire it up at 8 AM on a Sunday morning or a Tuesday morning when you're going to work, because that's what you have to do in your daily driver. But yeah, there's pros and cons to daily driving this car, many of which I've already mentioned, so I think I'll leave this one with you guys. Let me know in the comments. We've got the Lotus Exige S here, very sort of raspy sounding V6 matched up to a 6-speed manual gearbox. I'm sure you could daily drive something like this. While it may be a bit uncomfortable on some roads, yeah, it's a modern car basically. It's 2021, it's going to be reliable, it's going to fire up every morning. Yeah, I'd imagine you could get away with using this all year round. Now this old Ford F100 is an interesting one, because usually I'd say no to daily driving something like this because of its all sort of old running gear and all the stuff like that, and maybe parts, I don't know, you'd probably have to ship in parts from America. If this was your only car, it could get laid up. But actually, you may have noticed this car is bolted, the body is bolted onto a modern chassis. It's got a modern diesel engine, which I'm sure is super reliable, and being on that running gear, it's got an automatic gearbox as well swapped into it. I'm sure it's a very, very usable pickup truck. And I reckon you could easily get away with daily driving that, because it's got all modern running gear underneath and it would just drive like a modern car, to be honest. TVR Griffith, that's another tough one. I'd probably say no, just because it's going to cost so much to run that huge V8 up front, but it would be a cool thing to bomb around in all year round, wouldn't it? Very distinctive. Now this is an interesting one. This is a Triumph Spitfire. It's a Mark II or Mark III. It's one of the earlier cars, this one. It's got the Ashley GT hardtop, which is super cool. It's got racing windows as well. Let's have a little peek through there. Got a huge Dodge trying to file through. Is that thing staying there? There's a McLaren as well. Do we think that one's a no on the daily driver list? I think so. Be cool to rock around in that though, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's a cool thing. Doesn't even fit in shot, it's so huge, so I'm sure you might struggle to get into a Sainsbury's parking spot. But yeah, this is the Triumph Spitfire, and to be honest, I'd say yes, you could daily drive this. This is, I'm not insulting the car at all, but this is not a concours car, quite clearly. It's a super usable car. It's in this condition just because it's been used. And this is the sort of classic car that is perfect for daily driving, just because you wouldn't be too precious about it. It's not absolutely immaculate. It's just quite a cool little old sports car, and that is a big tick on the daily driver list. I'm sure you could get away with daily driving something like this as long as you keep maintaining it. The Triumph engine, it's used in similar sort of cars such as the Herald, the Dolomite. It's a similar setup throughout all of them, so yeah, there's going to be plenty of parts. Nice and simple engine. You can sit on the tyres, you work on it as well, which is the thing, because these Triumph Spitfires, the whole bonnet comes up of course, so yeah, that's going to be a super easy car to run every day of the year, hopefully. There's an Aston Martin. That's a V12 in that one, so that one might be a little bit thirsty for the old all year round driving. And this is an interesting one. This looks like some form of modern Ferrari. Let's have a little look at this one. Is it a Ferrari 296 GTB? I want to say it's one of the newest models of Ferrari around. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. It's far newer than my sort of thing, but it might be like a 296 GTB or something like that. And that's never going to get daily driven, is it? Let's be realistic. It's got a V8 of some sort, like a twin turbo V8 or something. Attracted quite a crowd, this car. Must be a fairly interesting model or something, but let's be realistic, that's going to be a no on the daily driver list. Got a great looking little selection of Porsches here. I'm sure these are fairly reliable cars. They're all brand new within reason, and yeah, you could daily drive cars like this. Honda S2000 as well, I'm sure you could daily drive that. Oh wow, we got the old Morgan rolling in now. We know the owners of that car quite well. That is a great car. He does lots of sort of racing in Morgans, that guy. He's got a few old lovely motorbikes as well that he has turned up in, so imagine daily driving that. How cool would that be? It's one of the earlier Morgans as well. That's a super cool car. I love that thing so much. I think we've been beaten as oldest car of the day here in the 1950 Pilot. That thing looks pretty pre-war to me, but it's a spectacular car. That I really love that thing. So let's continue. The S2000, I'd probably say yes to daily driving it, to be honest. Jaguar F-Type here. This is a new facelift model, different front to the slightly old one. That's going to be a yes for daily driving. McLaren, I'm sure you could daily drive it, but I don't know if anyone actually would, to be honest. This is a 600 LT with the V8 engine revving away at the back there. But I don't know, could you daily drive something like this? It's so low, actually. I don't think you could. You'd have to live somewhere with no speed bumps. It's a twin-turbo V8 in these, I believe, rumbling away there. But to be honest, let's be realistic, that's a no on the daily drive list. Probably the same for the Audi R8 over here. Now this over here is a beautiful Mark 1 Mazda MX-5. No, it is not our Mark 1 California. We're not in the California today. This one is not actually a California. This is actually a Unos Roadster, I should be calling it. So it's just a yellow MX-5. It's not actually the limited edition California like ours. It's had a few mods here and there, as you can tell, and I'm sure you could daily drive that just like we do with ours. Wash out the arches, make sure there's no rust, because these MX-5s do go a bit rusty, especially the Mark 2s. But yeah, I would definitely say you could daily drive something like that. TVR Tasman here, this was probably a no for me. Is the Tasman the one that predates the Wedge TVR, I want to say? So it might not have the huge V8 that is in the Wedge TVR, which means that it's got probably quite an obscure engine. And to be honest, it's a super rare car, these earlier Tasmans, and I'd say no to that, to be honest, but a super cool shape of car, isn't it? And I would love to daily drive something like this. There's such a cool livery on it, but realistically it's going to be a no. Look at this section here. This is an Alpine A110, the new version of the sort of late 60s, early 70s classic sort of homologation rally car, really, isn't it? And to be honest, it's a brand new car. Yeah, you can daily drive that. This is a Toyota Supra, twin turbo, 6-cylinder engine, just like the other one we saw, but this one actually has, is it a Targa top? Is it like this, the sort of T-top, something like that? Also an automatic gearbox. These are super rare cars. That's incredible to see two of them in the same place. Hardly any of these survive, and this one looks in super original condition, and I'd say yes to daily driving that, to be honest. I'm sure you could get away with that. And this here is a Citroen Saxo. It looks like a bit of a sort of race prep car. It sounded like it had a fairly lumpy cam. It didn't really like idling, and it needed a big sort of how do you say, a dose of revs to get it going, and it sounded very nice. Lots of intake with it, so a very modified engine. Clearly a competition car, and clearly not something you're going to be daily driving anytime soon. Great car to go for a blast on a weekend, or go for a blast up a Swiss hill, or something like a hill climb event, something like that. But let's be realistic, there's going to be so noisy in there, you're not going to want to daily drive that. Now this is an interesting one here. This is a Citroen of some description, recreated as Seb Loeb's rally car, Citroen C4. Don't worry, I don't think it's actually his car, but it's a very to be honest, it's a very convincing recreation. Yeah, it's very cool that, but to be honest, are you going to daily drive that? It's all the seats are out of the back? I think not, but it's a super cool car, to be fair, and a very interesting sight here today, as there goes the VTEC Mini. Incredibly quick car that, to be fair. You just saw a little white flash as it shot off up there. Now this is a beautiful car. I really love what the owner's done with this. This is a 944 S2. Drive tastefully, while this owner certainly is. It's a fantastic looking car, this in black. These 944s look especially good with the lights up, the pop-up headlights. Yeah, this is a super cool car. Super clean as well. Clearly very well maintained. Very cool. Private reg on the front as well. Spoken to the owner of this car a few times, and to be honest, do you think we could get away with daily driving that? I feel like you could get away with daily driving in summer, but when it gets to salt on the roads and stuff like that, I'd say no, to be honest, just because it's such a beautiful looking car. It's very tastefully modified. It's exactly how I'd have a 944, to be honest. And yeah, that's where I'm going to put it. Bit of a yes and bit of a no for the Porsche 944.
Really?
Just hiding behind her is this fantastic Morgan Aero from probably like 1920s perhaps. It's got the beautiful V-twin engine mounted on the front there. I really love the look of these Morgans. I've spoken to the owner of this car quite a few times on the channel over the years, and it's just fantastic. I love the look of the engine on the front of this. Such a beautiful sort of oily rag car. These have like a hand throttle setup as well, which is sure it's quite interesting to drive. It's quite a leery car to drive. Very, very powerful engine on the front. And the owner of this car does do a bit of motorsports with this car and other Morgan three-wheelers as well. I want to say, seen it at the likes of Alton Park before. And they're always relatively leery, these cars. Very, very interesting. This one is in super, super cool oily rag condition. Yeah, this is how they would have been seen in period. We've got a twin setup of Amal carbs. There, one for either. But is that the piston block? I think it is on the motorbike engine. I'm not too good at motorbike engines. But yeah, super, super powerful car. And I'll show it weighs absolutely nothing. Got the exhaust coming out of the side there. Bit of silencing, but not that much. These do sound absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I love the look of that. Now this is an interesting one. This is a 964 Porsche generation of the Porsche 911. This one sounded fantastic. The flat six rumbling away. I think the 914 that we saw earlier had a bit of a breakdown incident earlier, so his mate in this 964 Carrera 4 went to go and help him out. Now, does Carrera 4, does this mean it's another four-wheel drive one? I'm not exactly sure, to be honest. It's right-hand drive, manual gearbox, pretty much as expected. It's got the beautiful flat six in the back, of course, and I can't see any reason why I can't daily drive that. Hopefully it'll be a fairly reliable old thing. And yeah, that one's got to be a tick on the daily driver list. What a cool car to bomb around in that must be. Now this section here is most certainly a bit of me. Some beautiful classic British sports cars and classic British GT cars. We're starting off with this beautiful MGC in green. This car is the 3-litre C series straight six engine up front, as opposed to the 1.8 B series of the MGB. Yeah, this is a beautiful car, really love this. Nice early style of interior. I love the MG emblem on the early cars like this. This is a beautiful car. I really love this. These engines make a fantastic sound. Yeah, that is definitely a bit of me, that MGC there. And that, I reckon you could probably daily drive that. I wouldn't take it out in the salt, preferably, but yeah, I reckon you could get away with that, as long as you upkeep the sort of cleaning the arches, making sure there's no rust, bit of maintenance on the engine, stuff like that. General stuff. As long as you understand these things, then you'll be able to maintain them pretty well. This is a Triumph TR3. I always noticed the huge tyres on this car, matched up to the spoke wheels, looking fantastic. D-bumper on the front. Super cool little car. And to be honest, I think you could probably daily drive something like this. Once again, just keep it clean, stuff like that really. And this is a stunning car. This is a Jaguar XK150. Jaguar showing off all their Le Mans success. Now this car I probably wouldn't daily drive, just because it is a magnificent car. It's got an XK straight six up front. Is it a 3.8 the iteration in this one? I'm not exactly sure. Super beautiful GT car. But to be honest, it's probably a no to the daily driving list for today. But yeah, it is a super cool car, and I would love to own anything like that, but I probably wouldn't take it out in all the salt and the rain. Now, what does my little eye spy over here? This seems to be a little Ashley. Haven't seen any of these probably this year. I think this is the only one that goes around, to be honest. Yeah, a little Ashley GT. That has a bit of a history with these. I want to say these Ford-based specials. Yeah, that is cool. I love these so much. Little racing body on it. I want to say it's like a little Ford special or something like that. Yeah, super cool car, and to be honest, I would daily drive that. I want to say these are fiberglass bodied. I want to say that. So we're not going to get any body rust. You'd have to watch rust on like the chassis and stuff. So you do the normal stuff like I've been banging on about all this video. Clean out the arches, general maintenance. But to be honest, what a great little car that would be to bum around in all year round. I love the racing sliding windows as well. Super, super cool little car this, isn't it? Well, I think now the car park is looking pretty empty, so I think soon we will, much available, join them soon in the V8 Pilot. It looks like Grandad will be off, and our friend in his VW camper. We've got the whole trio set up here, bit of photos being taken of all the cool old pickups over here, loads of pickups here, apart from our Dodge WC from 1947. So please do check the channel homepage for past videos, uploads every Sunday. Subscribe, comment below what you think about any of the cars here, or daily driving all the cars like I did as a bit of a theme in this video. And I think that's all for now. Thanks for watching.